Hello, everyone. Welcome to Cwpan Cymru Division 2 weekend. We are going to have an amazing weekend. A couple matches coming up where the players who didn't quite manage to make it to the top 8 for Cwpan Cymru are going to be competing to see who's the best of the rest. I'm joined today with arguably one of the best new rising Welsh players in Ieupad.
Don't flatter me.
I'm just saying, you managed to be within, I think, 10 points of Acros.
Yeah, it was 6 points in the end. It was really close, surprisingly.
Incredible. Genuinely incredible. Generally someone to watch out for next weekend with the live finals of Cwpan Cymru happening in Cardiff Vale College. Believe tickets still available. You go to cwpan.cymru.com. Is there a .com at the end? Cwpan.cymru. You can find all the information, find the tickets there to watch the event in person. Obviously, check us out next weekend around the same time for the grand finals in live person. But we're taking a step back. We're going to be looking at Div 2 this weekend, where again we've got 8 really impressive, really incredible, highly competitive players. I'm going to be battling it out to see who's going to be able to be the best of the rest. As I said, got 2 matches happening at the same time here. First match that we're going to be covering is Taukai, Twiddies, Adsad, and Rapids, which is going to be really interesting. And then Ieupad, who do we have on the second stream? Oh no, not the second stream. On the second match.
On the second match, we have Gibletz, Crisp, Jake, and Yug. So that's also going to be an interesting match. Maybe a bit more predictable because of the seeding results, but definitely a match to watch as well.
Yeah, that second one, which obviously we're not going to be covering, we've only got the one stream going today. I feel like most people would expect Yug and Jake to probably compete at the higher level in that one.
Yeah, we don't know a lot about Crisp because he didn't do the qualifier, but from the time attack format we saw, Yug and Jake were ahead, so it's going to be interesting to watch.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if I managed to do any rounds prac against Crisp at all, and I'm not 100% sure, but I think he could definitely fight for them top 2 spots. Again, the format for the event is going to be that these 2 matches happen. It's going to be double elimination, so the 2 players who are top of these matches go through into the upper bracket in round 2, and the 2 players from each that don't quite make it go into a loser bracket, and we'll battle out to the death, and we'll see who comes out on top from all of those. I guess predictions for the second match, which we're not going to be showing. Before we go, what are you thinking, Ieupad?
I feel like I'm just gonna have to be predictable here. I'm gonna go Yug and Jake. I know both of them have practiced. I don't know Crisp's face, but I'm gonna go with the old reliable.
Yeah, I think that's probably the fair bet. I do think if Crisp turns up, he could probably hustle Drake. But I think Yug's most likely going to be in the first spot there. He's been playing for a long time, really consistent, really fast player. Gibletz, don't count him out. It's his first sort of major event. Your first foray into competitive Trackmania. So good luck to him. Hopefully, we'll be able to take a couple rounds off the fellas.
Maybe a big upset can happen, and we'll see a Gibletz run all the way to the final.
You never know. Someone could have an off day. Someone may have a controller disconnect or something. Hopefully not. We want it to be as even as fair as possible. You just never know. But obviously, taking our attention to the match we'll be covering with Taukai, Twiddies, Adsad, and Rapids. It's going to be pretty crazy. I think we may be looking at a 3-player match potentially. I'm not sure if Twiddies has joined the server yet.
So he hasn't. Hopefully he does join in time because it'll be a really interesting match if he does.
Yeah. Obviously with him in it, it's going to be insane. But already, even without Taukai, Adsad, and Rapids, I think is going to be pretty interesting.
I think it's going to be surprisingly tight because I know Rapids has done a bit of prac beforehand. He may not be the fastest player, but consistency-wise, I think he can take it.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, Taukai finishing, I believe, 10th seed out of the seeding.
Yeah.
And Adsad a little bit behind. Adsad obviously played in Cwpan Cymru 1, didn't quite make it through to the land finals, but was a very impressive player and has been playing for a good couple of years now at this point. So he's got some skin in the game there. He definitely can push forward. I think it's likely him and Taukai will take it. But again, Rapids could just turn up.
Yeah, I think another thing to point out, in the time attack format, Taukai actually finished 5th. So he's really quick, and it was a big upset that he didn't actually make it. I think a lot of people picked him for his for the pick'ems, if I remember correctly.
I definitely did.
Yeah, yeah, Hanwei. It's really surprising. Maybe it's just because it's one of his first major tournaments with money on the line. Maybe got a bit nervous. So hopefully he's calmed those nerves down now for this match.
Definitely, like you said, a lot of these players haven't played too much competitive Trackmania. I believe Adside, I think Taukai definitely played in TSCC last season for Wales. So we've
Yeah,
got a
and he
little bit
played
of
in
sort of
Shroom
match
Cup,
base. Very
I think.
true, very true. And again, I think Twitties has played a little bit of. Well, if Twitty shows up, it'd be good. But Twitties and Adside, I think both have also played TSCC at some point, and maybe also played a couple matches for Dullahan. In various comps. So they've got like a little bit of experience, but this will be very interesting to see. Like I said, someone like Taukai who's got incredible time attack pace. If he maybe is lacking a bit in consistency, and we'll just obviously have to see during rounds how he stacks up against everyone else.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the pace of Div 2 overall. I'm wondering if they're going to be risking or if they're going to be trying to save, hoping that the others crash. I don't really know. It's going to be, I think, close rounds. Everyone's going to drive like really equal.
Definitely, definitely. I don't think we'll be seeing the blistering fast pace that you were able to put out last weekend in seeding with some of these players, but with them all being out of that sort of highest echelon of pace, it should be a lot closer matches, like you said. But I do think it'll probably be a big emphasis on just playing consistent. Maybe don't have to be doing the crazy fastest times we've ever seen. As long as you just don't crash, that might well be good enough in some of these rounds. As these maps are pretty crazy. I believe, let me just double check which map we're going to be going into first for today.
I think it'll be Pistol.
Okay, yeah, so we're actually going to be switching over to match 2, which we talked about previously with Yug, Jake, Gibletz, and Crisp, just because we're going to have a full match there. We think it'll probably be a little bit more competitive. And yeah, so the map order for that one is going to be Go Wild, Ieupad, Pistol, rather, and Slandau, which is going to be interesting, opening with Go Wild, which is an RPG
A
map.
death sentence.
Yeah, I know a lot of players have had mixed opinions on it. Personally, I really quite liked it. It was probably one of my favorite maps from the pack.
It's definitely, it's definitely grown. Yeah, it's really hard to learn at the start, but eventually you kind of learn the lines, you know how to save it, and it kind of grows on you.
Yeah, it's one which it rewards those who really want to try and risk and push those lines a little bit, but it's very easy to make a mistake. Kind of like a competitive map, except the format of it feels completely abnormal to a comp player. I know people like Louis were a little bit up in arms, but I think now has probably warmed up a little bit to it, saying like, why is there an RPG map in my high level comp? But I think genuinely, at least for me, it was probably one of the most fun maps. Maybe not the most consistent at times. Again, probably just due to a player error. But I wonder if you said you've probably got a little bit more comfortable on it now after a couple of weeks of practice. Is it?
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be a lot more fun to watch rather than to play. Because the flip of death, you've got a couple of weird transitions. A lot can go wrong, but a lot can go right. And as if you just finish all the rounds, I think you'll do really, really well on this map. Get a lot of points.
Yeah, genuinely. All right, so we've got a little bit of warm up left to go before we properly boot into the game. And again, run through the players again. We're gonna have Crisp, Giblet, Jake, and Yug. And again, we're going through this little ice flip here, which is a pretty unique element of a map. You don't see this in most comp maps. Again, the RPG side of this one coming out in full force. Gonna be really interesting. Black Pulse as well, like a more RPG map for this event. Really great honor to have this as well as part of mini RPG of the week for the reveal of this, which is an absolutely incredible moment. Along with obviously one of the maps we'll see later on, but still being one of the Cup of the Day maps. Absolutely amazing organization done by Thomas. And yeah, let's kick it off. First round underway here. And let's see if there's going to be any major crashes that go on here.
No!
Oh, we've actually got 2.
There's going to be a race for third between Gibletz and Jake now. We got Crisp in the front racing with Yug.
Yeah,
Definitely shown up here.
Yeah, we said coming in that you know, we've been doing a bit of a madness on the TA leaderboards. Obviously didn't see him in seeding last weekend. I believe he just couldn't quite make it to the times, and he's just
does
gonna make that
brilliant jump.
Jesus, he's actually going to carry a lot of speed through that there with wheel on the ground for a lot bit longer than Ieupad. He's starting to close the gap to around 1.5 tenths. Going to this drift here, he's doing it really clean there.
He doesn't keep the gear. That's going to be a lot of time.
Yeah, he's neck and neck with Ieupad. Both of them going to go for the safe route, dropping down to the left here.
No, they don't. They both go for the risk.
Both making the reactor jump.
Yeah.
Okay, and we see.
Wow.
This was the first one to bleed Ieupad, getting that 10 points comfortably, and we're going to see Gibletz a little bit further back, and Jake just finishing there in 3rd place again. This is a pretty rough one. I wouldn't be surprised if you see a good couple of rounds where maybe 1 or 2 players don't finish. Again, pretty punishing this one. And you'll notice throughout the map there are these red and green signs. Certain intervals showing a safe route and a risky route, and more often than not we'll be seeing players going the slightly riskier route. For example, this jump up here to the left of the flag, which feels like all players got pretty well there.
Yeah.
Oh, this jump down from here.
That's a brilliant line from him. He's going to gain a lot of speed there.
Yeah,
you can see kind of 3 people in the front here. Crisp, and Jake all go for the jump. And Jake doesn't make it. Yeah, that's quite unfortunate.
Going to the safe barrier there. Obviously, would rather do that than absolutely fly into it and just not be able to save it. So he goes for a little bit of time loss there. We do have Jake and Crisp again.
Another battle. Crips gets it really well. He's going to keep the gear through here. He's going to go for the jump. No, he's definitely saving. Goes for the reactor. I don't think he makes it though. Yeah,
oh, he doesn't. And Ieupad going the safe route. Nice and calmly, scooting up into 1st place with a 2nd slower time than last round, but if he's consistent and safe enough, that's all he needs to be.
Yeah, Gibletz finishing that, and all actually in the 101 time. I think I think everyone crashed there. It's safe to say.
Yeah, that wasn't a clean round by any metric. But again, Gibletz managed to finish his round. He's happy with just getting through to through to drag that round there.
Chat, hooray!
Which, hey, I just hope that all the players at least have fun this weekend. I think Gibletz is certainly going to have some fun.
Yeah, that's of course the main premise of competitions like these.
Yeah,
as long as the players have a good time, then the event is a success.
Absolutely.
You see Chris taking a really low line there, and that gains him a lot of speed. He's going to be able to make the jump a lot better.
Around a 10th ahead of Ieupad going into the flip, but Jake, with one of the best lines we've seen so far, overtaking them with nearly a 4/10 lead now on Chris. But we'll see if he can manage these transitions well and not crash.
The caster curse is real.
Fella, send me away. But he's still driving on. Ieupad, I think, made a couple more errors. So now into 4th place. And it's gonna look like Crisp, then Jake, then.
Crisp!
Crisp fails the
Oh my gosh, that's so many points he's lost there.
Yeah,
Gibletz finishing 2nd.
He's dropping down to 3rd place. He's lost out on 6 points there. Gibletz up into 2nd. He'll be very happy with that.
That's so disappointing for Crisp. He was doing so well throughout the entire run. That was probably sub 1 minute, I think, if he didn't clip.
Oh, most definitely. He had a pretty nice lead there on Jake coming through to the end. But that end beam has been, it's been increased a little bit because it was even thinner than that.
Yeah.
But it is so easy when you're under pressure to just input slightly too heavy, turning left or right, and just not quite make it. And that's what we saw there from Chris. But he's not letting that hold him back. He is got a nice little lead on Jake here. Is that around half a second?
I don't know. I think that's a clip there from Chris.
He's got a slow down and lucky. He's actually going to go into the safe route rather than doing a respawn and going for the flip.
Ieupad crashes as well.
Crash. So the battle for 2nd and 3rd place, honestly, is still in there as Jake's just running away with it this round. Fingers crossed for himself, he's going to be able to keep it clean. He's got the Founders Edition skin on. Lovely skin, by the way.
Yeah, that's all he needs to do now is just safe till the end. He's got 3 seconds on the rest of the field. And I think he's done that, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, there we go. 1 minute time.
Flat. Not terrible. Not too bad. Not
at all.
I think he'll be very happy with that. Getting a sub 1, would also be nice. But again, it's not necessary to really push those lines in this match.
No, I think maybe in the final it'll be a bit more necessary to maybe get past the 1 minute barrier.
Yeah,
But right now, I think it's completely fine just to drive consistently and safe.
definitely. I mean, well, we've seen that we may not have seen the end of Go Wild. We'll probably come back around to it later on, I believe, with how the points work. We're going to be going on to Ieupad now, by Asa and Jode. Ase, that was a great combination of their two names. And based on the scoreboard, we can see that Jake is 1 point ahead of Yug. 28
So
points,
really close. Yeah, that's really close there.
which I think a lot of people will be happy to see. Again, Jake's one of them players who will talk a lot of smack before the event. Partially just to help hype everyone up, but also I think he genuinely believes he can compete at a good level, and it's really nice seeing that he actually is. I think he's probably this disappointed with how he performed at the seeding, but he's showed up at least on this first map, and is doing pretty well so far.
I'm actually a Jake believer. I think he's gonna make it really far in this run, in this competition. Mostly because although he has maybe not done as much prac as maybe everyone else before seeding, he's definitely tried. He's got some fast pace, consistent pace. Definitely on this map where it's really important to keep the gear on the plastic section. I think if everyone does that, then they'll have a good round.
Yeah,
but,
that's going to be the point to look out for on this map. I think that'll be the big decider. As we get through to it, around 20 seconds into the track, we'll point it out to a little bit of a wonky turn there from Gibletz, but the front three are actually very close.
Yeah, Jake maybe going a bit wide.
See, Jake's in lower gear, Crisp has it, and Yug has it, so Jake will be dropping down a little bit. We'll see. I think
Jake's got the gears, unfortunately.
Yeah, he's managed to get it together. Crisp clipping on the inside of that little chicane section there, very tough. When you're coming through with varying speed between rounds. See Yug comfortably in the lead with around half a second. Jake clips there. That's going to put him down to 4th place as Gibletz is actually vying for 2nd against Crisp.
Yeah, this is a really close round. It's all going to come down to the ice line. Gibletz does go out of control there.
He just sort of flies out on the ice. Yeah. Oh, and okay, Crisp did a little bit of bonk on the finish line there. Almost gave up the place to Jake, but managed to securely get himself through. And yeah, a pretty okay time from Yug.
Yeah, 53.8 is 53.8 is not bad. I think later on in the tournament, when pressure gets high, I think we probably need to do a bit quicker than that, maybe a 53.5. But right now, I think it's just what he needs to just keep on putting out that pace. He's going to get a lot of points, and he's going to make it to the upper bracket.
Absolutely. You can see here again this front three really getting the start quite well. Jake getting the gear this time, and I believe all these front runners have. Jake, Yug, and Crisp. We'll see Jake turning in too much, a bit too aggressively there, so he's going to be put a little bit further behind.
Yug and Crisp also crash.
Yeah.
It's going to be a little bit of a slower round than last time.
Yeah, they're going to be keeping the distance between themselves around about 7/10 now. As we go into the engine off, and we'll see if Yug is able to keep it clean through here like he did last round. Really nice line there through on the ice. See if he clips the inside. He does
quite well. A bit wide, but I think it's just enough. Yeah.
Yeah, he probably
doesn't need to push.
On the UI. Yeah, so that I've got the space, got the room to play with. So just take it easy.
Yeah, it does seem like Yug is really quite dominant in this pack, in this map anyway. He's always at the front. He's always about 5/10 ahead. He's not giving any leadway for the other players. He's making sure that he's going to get those consistent 10 points, and he wants to probably make a statement to everyone else, saying that I'm here to win, not to play.
Exactly. He's probably trying to say, look, I'm going to make it to grand finals based off this performance alone. You can see that's going to happen, and he's just going to try and get there. He's going to get there cleanly. As again, he's out to another probably half-second lead. I'd say give or take. Let's check at this next checkpoint here. And that's definitely the case. But Jake is getting kind of close to Crisp here.
That's a nice turn. I think Yug's on a good run here.
He is, and Jake just an absolutely great line coming out of that penalty dirt. And I think Jake's actually a little bit faster than Yug going into this ice here.
Yeah, he went a bit lower. I don't think he can catch up unless Yug makes a mistake.
Yug a little bit wide, but Jake's good there. 53-2.
Oh, look at that.
You know what? That's a really good time.
That's a really good time. That is a Div 1 time, I think.
Yeah. I wonder, do you think we'll be seeing any 52s today on Ieupad?
I think if ThatYug turns up in the grand final, I think we might be able to see a 52.
Yeah, I'm open so.
It would be insane. That is the level of a Div 1 player.
Yeah, and again, he played really well in seeding, just narrowly missed out. Again, was that 9th seed, I believe, or
you were 9th seed, unfortunately.
True. Sorry, he was 10th seed I think, going out of it. So he's the highest seed going into this entire weekend. Often he's playing in the other match which is going on. So fingers crossed for him that he manages to get through that fine. As we see this round, Crisp is hustling Yug, which I mean we wouldn't have probably expected that with how Yug was playing earlier. But again, this front three. Super close. 3/10 separating. Jake's gonna have to go for the respawn though.
Yug actually takes quite a low line, so Crisp can catch up. A good ITO will make all the difference. He does go inside.
Yeah, 2/10.
Yug with a brilliant turn. 53.1, 53.3.
That's lovely.
What a level.
That's what we like to see today, fellas. This is the kind of action we want to see. Unfortunately, if Jake was able to keep that clean, we could have had a really close battle there.
Oh yeah,
between the three. And yeah, that's gonna be the last round on Ieupad as we move on to, I believe it's Pistol, the map by Doc, which featured as the Cup of the Day map. Absolutely incredible that this was Cup of the Day. I think it had around 6,500 players play on it, which is
it was brilliant for exposure. Crazy. I think we had a couple of new people join the Discord as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think because it was Cup of the Day, this will be the map with the closest rounds between players. They've had more time to play, more time to practice, and I think that overall the map really is quite tight. There's not a lot of big time saves you can get, like the ice flip on Go Wild. It's all just kind of 1/10 there, 2/10 there. We can see in the warm-up, Jake and Yug are neck and neck, so hopefully you can see that in the actual rounds as well.
Yeah, they're really battling for it. And we've obviously got the fun little bug slide section here, which I assume most players will be able to get pretty clean. There's a chance we see a couple people slide out on there, but fingers crossed, all of them get it nicely, cleanly, and we have a couple close rounds on this.
Yeah, before the round starts as well, I'd like to say Crisp and Jake, just 2 points in between each other. It's really close between that second, third position there, so it's going to be a big map.
Yeah, it's feeling like Yug's got a nice little bit of a lead. Gibletz is falling a little bit behind, and Crisp and Jake definitely going to be fighting for that second place spot. You see a couple of different lines coming out from the start. Crisp going wider, but generating a little bit more speed.
The OG strat.
Yeah, this is the initial strat people found out during during the Cup of the Day, and it's gone up into second place. With Yug leading. Oh, and Yug leading not anymore. Yeah, pushing a little bit too much on that outside. They're going to be sliding back into, I believe, third places. Bonks again. I have to stop calling out where Yug is in these rounds. It's just cast a curse after cast a curse. And most people getting this clean here. Gibletz up into second. We'll see if they're able to get that drift. Nice. Jake getting it very nicely, actually.
Jake is really pushing that, and he does overtake Gibletz.
Managed to get him a 50.4 from Crisp. A nice little lead between him and the rest of the field.
Yeah, again though, Crisp and Jake battling it out for that second position.
Yeah,
it's really close.
2 points the other way for Crisp over Jake now. Yeah, this is really going to come down to, I think, as we get into these last couple maps. Again, we see Crisp with that high line. Yeah, I mean, it paid out from last week, last round. So
yeah, absolutely.
While it's not the most traditional line that we're going to be seeing, at least definitely not next weekend, and from most of the players this weekend, it's going to be the rarest line we see. But it's doing okay for himself now. He's just in third place with Jake and Yug battling for first and second position. Jake getting it here would be massive for him to get a little bit more of a lead onto Crisp.
And he's really close to Yug as well, only about
Really
0.1.
is.
If he risks this tech section, which I think he
He
doesn't get
pushed
very
it.
well, yeah.
Yeah, he went a bit
Unfortunate.
too inside on the drift. Bonked the outside on the following corner. That'll be Yug.
Oh, Crisp also bonks the finish.
Oh, he does. He's
He
going for the
does
safe
still get
route.
second though.
Yeah, he
He's
gets it
quite lucky.
clean. Jake coming in third, and Gibletz also going for the safe route. Yeah, that one could have really gone any way there with Chris making a little bit of a crash towards the end.
Yeah, it just shows that crashing is very consequential. If you just drive your lines, don't crash, you can obviously get some like really good points. No need to risk in this map.
Definitely, and like you said, this map is probably one of the easiest to crash on. There's so many different sections where it's actually really tight. I think personally I found that the regrip section they do on this with the reactor very easy to hit that outside wall if you try and push it a little bit too far. And obviously this following section here, but everyone's getting it incredibly
What line
clean.
did Jake take?
Jake just became a squirrel and said hi to the tree. Let's get some yep trees in the chat for that one. That's going to put him down to 4th place with Yug and Crisp 1 and 2. Gibletz in 3rd comfortably. See, everyone getting that drift pretty nice. And this end section again is really a tough one where if you try push it, you can definitely crash it. And Crisp almost did on that outside wall there. Managed to keep it alive 2nd place. He'll be happy with that. It's more points than Jake, and I hope Jake's going to finish this round. Just about.
Yeah,
3 seconds
almost
to go.
missed the finish.
Yeah, not getting 3
quite
points
embarrassing.
there would have been pretty painful. He's now got a 7-point gap between him and Crisp. So fingers crossed for him. We'll be able to push out for maybe a 1st or 2nd place here and get a bit of a lead. And really try to narrow down that gap. Otherwise, Crisp might start running away with it.
Yeah, we can see another close fight in the top there by Yug and Jake.
Yeah,
They're
Crisp
really
actually,
pushing each other now. You
Yeah,
can see
Crisp-
all the lines are being taken, all the pushes are being sent.
Yeah, Crisp actually clipped on the dirt at the start, so it's put down to 4th place. Gibletz made a little bit of a bigger error, so there's a big gap between
Another
2nd and 3rd
crash.
now. And Jake actually failing there as we go into the reactor ice bug slide dirt section.
Gibletz also does it
Yeah,
badly.
Crisp not quite getting it clean either. Jake's managed to overtake and get back up at the 2nd. We see Yug as well, finishing with a 49.5.
Yeah, good times from Yug, to be fair.
Yeah, I think he'll be pretty happy with those. I assume that he could probably push a little bit further if he needed to, but that's a respectable pace. I think that's similar to the sort of pace that I was pushing.
He's ended finalist.
And he's actually entered finalist. Yeah, he's reached the 100-point barrier as we move on to the 4th map, which is Landau. Mapped by Wizzy. Again, amazing mapper. He did map for Cup and Cymru 1. And he's mapped again for Cup and Cymru 2. Another really classic Wizzy style map here. Which will be interesting to see if this favours anyone in particular. Again, Yug's on finalist, so he has to just win 1 round, and he'll be through to the upper bracket round 2. But let's see. He had a couple of rounds on the last map where Chris was able to take him on it. So we'll see if there's any sections on this map which seem troublesome for him.
I think we've seen Yug drive some very good paces on all 3 of the maps, but Landau is the most like a comp map, so we'll see if that makes him struggle maybe a bit more on it. Maybe the other players are a bit quicker, but that's all he needs to do is just drive one of these 4 rounds as 1st place, and then he makes it through to the upper bracket.
Exactly. It seems incredibly likely that he will. You never know. You just never know. There's the ice section in the middle and the bug slide shortly after, which are all kind of wicked elements to this map. But we'll see. If all players will be able to get that clean. So we head into the 1st round here. And yeah, packs all nicely close together there. Gibletz getting a little bit of an awkward line on that off-road section. Jake hitting the outside wall there.
Now it's all up to Chris to deny Yug. It's going to be very important for him if he wants to get that more chances of getting into the upper bracket. Yug does crash the ice section as well.
Yeah, Yug's down into 3rd place now with a 1.5 gap to 1st. I don't imagine he'll be able to get that back this round, but we've seen crazy things happen. Insane low line from Yug. which
He's
might
really
help him.
risking it now. He wants
Yeah,
it.
he saved half a second on that corner alone.
Wow.
So if Chris makes a mistake, he could well catch up to Jake as well, but it's
Let's do a
looking
little
like...
one. This end is
fairly
very hard to get right as well, and it looks like Jake,
Yeah.
oh, does clip.
Oh, Jake clips, but Crisp gets it clean to 56.6.
Another
Very nice, plus
thing
10
to note,
points.
Yug actually takes another 2 points from Jake there. So
Yeah.
Crisp is going to extend his lead.
Yeah, Crisp is now going to be, I believe, around 10 points ahead of Jake. Yeah, 11-point gap between them. Crisp on 80. He could get finalist in 2 rounds and then win the final round of this map and get it himself through. Potentially.
Yeah.
That could happen. I'm not saying it will. I'm just saying, you know what? He's a pretty good player, so he definitely could do that.
I think so far he's really shown that he's definitely a player not worth underestimating. He's driving really well on all these rounds. Maybe a few crashes here and there, but when it counts, he really does drive consistent lines. This isolate especially gets it really well. A lot of speed going into the NASCAR section.
Yeah, now 0.4 gap between him and Yug. 0.6 actually, 0.5 as we go through the varying speeds there. The bug slide clean from
Super
Jake
low
and Yug.
lines.
Yeah, that's going to close the gap very slightly to Crisp, a 0.3 gap, and he'll be hoping that he can keep it clean through this dirt section here.
Crisp goes a bit out wide. Yug is going to have to push here. He might be able to get it if he gets a good end.
Jake might be leapfrogging. Crisp goes really right. Jake goes a bit too
no,
inside, but Yug clips.
Oh, Crisp makes it.
With the 10 points, Yug does manage to get the 2 points again off of Gibletz of all people, as Jake struggles to find the finish there after that little crash. What a crazy round.
My goodness.
That was insane.
Yeah. I thought Yug taked it, but he clipped a little bit and he couldn't finish.
Yug went in with the best line into that little stadium grass section, which is deceptively hard. You know, you see it, you see the best players compete on it and think, oh, you just drive that. It's a simple little slalom section. No. If you get the entry slightly wrong on that stadium grass, it can really penalize you, as we saw with both Jake and Chris messing it up a little bit there.
Yeah, I still don't think I have that section nailed down.
Oh, Lord knows. Hundreds of hours won't be able to help me get that section correct either. But speaking about getting sections correct, this ice section here by Jake and Yug really well. Crisp struggling
it's so tight again.
Yeah, the bug slide here.
A low line
goes too low and misses the checkpoint.
It's now up to Jake to deny Yug.
Yeah.
It's going to be super close again. He just needs 1 round to take it. Jake is really pushing here. Bit more speed from Yug.
Yeah, Yug's got the speed, but does he have the line?
Oh my goodness.
Neck and
oh
neck.
My goodness.
Does he go into the final jump? It's
Yug takes it.
Getting through to the upper bracket, round 2. First person to qualify. There's a hair's between the two players there. Jake saying nah in the chat. He can't believe that he got outpaced. It was
a tiny bit of speed that made Yug take that round.
Yeah, I believe Jake went slightly too wide on that stadium grass section.
Yeah, and he didn't clip the black pillar. So
yeah, that was
quite unfortunate for him.
That's so painful. But he's not letting that slow him down. He's got a little bit of a lead onto Crisp in this round. Again, a pretty sizable gap between the two. There is a 16-point gap between both these players, so Jake's going to really hope to extend that, but he had a little bit of a wide ice entry there. And the pace between both these players is going to be neck and neck. We're only a 10th between them. Let's see. We did see Chris mess this section up last round, but he gets it nicely there. Jake, though, with a insane bug slide line, which is kind of ironic considering a couple weeks ago he was saying, no, I just can't get that line correct. I don't know how to do it fast. And I mean, he's doing it kind of fast today.
Yeah. I think it's important as well that he got the 10 points instead of just taking the 6, because Crisp was gonna get into finalists either way unless Gibletz overtook him. But Jake catching that little bit more up to Crisp. He has to deny now on Go Wild, which I think arguably might be the most cinema ending you could ever have to this first round.
It's gonna be quite a coin flip, or an ice flip, I guess we could say in this case, as to who's gonna be taking it. Again, as you said, Crisp gets on the finalist there with the 6 points needed. Like you said, if he managed to get those 10 points and deny Jake 4 points, that would have been pretty massive. But Jake coming in clutch there to give himself the best chance possible. Only 12 points behind. Has to win 3 rounds in a row, unless if potentially Gibletz could play spoiler here.
Yeah, we can
Definitely
see
map
him
where if he
actually
plays it-
first in warm-up.
Yeah.
Outside chance of Gibletz winning.
It could happen. It could happen if he just plays it smooth, and maybe the nerves are going to get to Jake and Crisp, right? They feel the pressure a little bit of like, oh, I've got to perform now. It's not the first map anymore where you know what, everything, the game is entirely to play for. I've got other maps where I can win on. No. It all comes down to this as to who's going to go through to the upper bracket round 2, joining Yug, or who's going to be going down that lower bracket where you've only got one more chance.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
gonna be
really
it's
close.
gonna be insanely close, whatever the outcome.
Definitely.
It's definitely gonna be an uphill battle though for Jake because he needs to take at least 3 rounds away from Crisp in order to take it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be really hard for him to do.
He could do it. I believe in him. I believe in Jake. Get support for Jake in the chat, fellas. He's going to this first round here. On Go Wild, second time seeing this map. These 3 remaining players keeping it really close.
Oh no!
with
Jake's gotta
a
slow
slightly
down.
awkward line, but he's still alive.
Oh, he clips the pillar as well.
Does clip the beam.
It's all
not
up
over
to
yet.
Crisp now.
Yeah. Crisp, if he's playing with UI on, may see that I've got a massive 2.5 second gap. And he gets that jump a little bit wobbly there.
Yeah, but it's not enough to catch up for 2.5 seconds. He's gonna need a big crash here in order for Jake to catch up.
Yeah, Jake's going some exploratory lines there. And I do feel like Crisp may have just punched his ticket through to the upper bracket round 2.
Yeah, it looks like it.
We saw him be a little bit wobbly on this ending last time round. We'll see though.
He does not care. He's going for all the risky lines. Does
and
clip
he
the
clips
pillar,
beam
but
a
it's
little
not
bit.
enough. Crisp will make it to the upper brackets.
Yeah, I mean,
Incredible.
really good. Again, a 1 minute flat time. Not the best time we're going to be seeing today, but it's just what he needed to do. He just needed to play, drive consistently, drive clean.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the faster round times we've seen, actually. So
Yeah.
it's really impressive that he's managed to do it in such an intense environment.
Yeah,
But there we go.
similar. Very similar to what Jake managed to very similar to what Yug managed to pull out on the first time round. Obviously, he made finals as well as Crisp going through there. Fortunately, Jake and Gibletz going to be dropping down into that lower bracket match. Not too sure the final standings of upper bracket round 1 so far. That was obviously between Taukai, Twitties, Adsad, and Rapids, and I believe Twitties wasn't able to attend today.
Quite
So just that
unfortunate.
3-player match. Yeah, we'll hopefully get an update soon as to what the score was. That. But yeah, that was an amazing first match. I think a little bit of a surprise seeing Crisp show up as he did then and managed to knock Jake out.
Yeah, I think it was really impressive from Crisp. He really showed up today. It wasn't a blowout from Jake, as I think a lot of people expected. He's driving consistently, and some pretty good times consistently at that. So I think he might even have a chance on the in the upper bracket if he managed to beat Taokai and Adsad.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, we're going to be heading to a short break really quickly. And I believe when we come back, we'll be continuing on with casting more of these amazing matches. So yeah, don't go anywhere.